Hey, and welcome to the Winning Daily Podcast. We're live for Monday, the 16th of August, and we're ready to get into some picks today. Pretty light day, but the Cincinnati Masters starts in tennis right before the U.S. Open, so a pretty good prep tournament. A lot of good players playing in the next week, so we'll get into that, and we'll got some picks definitely for that. Little Major League Baseball, little Summer League, and a little bit of week one of the soccer season left to go in La Liga. So got a couple picks there, and Dynamite David came in and texted me a couple Major League Baseball picks. So we're all across the board today on a pretty light slate, but let's start out in Major League Baseball. I only got one pick on the day, and that's the San Diego Padres at minus 135 versus the Colorado Rockies. The Padres have been struggling a little bit. Just broke a losing streak the other day, but Tatis Jr. came back with a vengeance, hit 2 homers. They're going to Colorado today. Ryan Weathers on the hill for San Diego. Not the greatest pitcher you want in Colorado, but I'm going for the Padres to hit here. I think that 135 line is really, really nice, and I look for the Padres to get back on track and start winning some games in bunches here today. So we're going to go with the San Diego Padres minus 135. And I mentioned that Dynamite David texted me in some picks today. You can follow him on Twitter, and he will have all his picks there as well. But he said to tell you, New York Yankees on the run line at minus 1.5, minus 135, with the Angels playing the other day, flying across country to play a makeup game in New York. I think he really, really likes that. And then he also wants the Cincinnati Reds on the run line at minus 1.5, minus 115 versus the Chicago Cubs. And I think that's just because the Cubs are not very good. They've lost a ton of games in a row. We'll see if they can keep that up, and the Cincinnati Reds continue to try to make their push for one of those last wild card spots. But that's what we got going on in Major League Baseball. Let's get into the big thing on the day. The Cincinnati Masters is starting off, and we got a handful of picks for you today. I'm going to start off on the women's side of things, and we're going to go with Daniela Collins, minus 185 versus Shelby Rogers. Really like this pick. Collins played Rogers just a little bit ago in the Stanford Open. She beat her 6-4, 6-3, so she really, really dominated her there. Coming into this tournament, Shelby Rogers has lost in the first round to the aforementioned Daniela Collins in Stanford. She went to the Canadian Masters, lost in the first round there, and before that she hadn't played a tournament since Wimbledon. So she's played 2 tournaments, 2 first round losses for Shelby Rogers. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Daniela Collins played in Stanford, made it all the way to the finals, and then she played into the Canadian Masters, made it on to the round of 16 before she lost a tough 3-setter to Jessica Puglia. So she's on a hot streak. Rogers on a cold streak. Really like the value here. We're going to go with Daniela Collins minus 185 and get pretty good value here. We're going to take the tennis line on Nandita Ponderoska versus Elise Mertens, and we're on a bit of the same wavelength here. Ponderoska been playing a little bit better than Elise Mertens. Ponderoska went to the Olympics, made it to the round of 16 before she lost to Badosa Gilbert. And then in the Canadian Masters, she made it to the round of 32 before going down. Meanwhile, Mertens, disappointing Olympic showing, losing in the first round. Then she played in that aforementioned Stanford tournament, did make it to the semifinals, but then she came to the Canadian Masters and lost in the first round of that. So on the hard court, she has 2 first round losses. She is right now 2-3 on the hard court season. I just like Ponderoska here, getting 4.5. We'll see if Elise Mertens can finally find her form and bounce back, but I don't think she'll be able to cover that 4.5. So we're going to ride Ponderoska plus 4.5, minus 125. And lastly, on the women's side of things in the Cincinnati Masters, we're going to go with Serena Christie, minus 165 versus Jill Tichemon. Really like this. Serena Christie been really, really good of late. She has not played much since Wimbledon. She played in that Canadian Masters tournament, won her first round matchup, but then lost to Victoria Azarenka. But on the other side of things, Jill Titchman played in that Canadian Masters, lost in the first round to the aforementioned Danielle Rose Collins, and then played only clay court, really. So she's played one hard court match on the season, lost that one. Hard courts are not her specialty, so we're going to ride Serena Christie and think she'll dominate Jill Titchman right here. So on to the men's side of things, and we're going to go with Fabio Fogioni plus 115 versus Nikolai Vashvili. And what do we like about this? Not really much separating these two. The only thing I can say is they're both about second, third round guys. They always make about the second, third round of the tournament. Canadian Masters, Fabiani lost in the second round to Rublev. In the third round, Bashvili lost to Herkowitz, two guys who are better. In the Olympics, Fogioni made it to the third round before losing to Medvedev. Bashvili made it to the third round before losing to Zervi. So they pretty much go until they play somebody. I just got to feel that Fogioni is going to like this Cincinnati tournament. Play to the crowd a little bit, and I just like that plus with not much separating the two. Next up, we're going to one where I think there's a lot of separation here. Lloyd Harris, minus 3.5 versus Yoshihito Nishikori. Really like Lloyd Harris here. Just think he's playing really, really good tennis. Canadian Masters played a decent matchup versus Tofo after qualifying. He had two nice matches to qualify into the Canadian Masters. He made it to the third round of 16 before losing a tough three-setter to Opaka. Beat Kei Nishikori in Washington, D.C., made it all the way to the quarterfinals there. Tough first-round loss in the Truist Open to Jordan Thompson, but he's played a lot more hardcore tennis. Nishikori has had to try to qualify. He had a first-round loss in Washington, D.C., had a first-round loss in the Canadian Masters, and had a first-round loss in the Olympics. So he's just really, really had a long string of first-round losses. Really think Lloyd Harris will be able to here. And I look for Lloyd Harris to make a little bit of a run. I think he could make it all the way to the quarterfinals. I think he likes these hard court tracks. So we're going to take Lloyd Harris minus the 3.5, minus the 110 here. And lastly, we're going to take Mackenzie McDonald plus 2.5, minus 120 versus Brandon Nakashima. Really like this matchup here. Mackenzie McDonald has been playing really, really good tennis. Now, if they did play one head-to-head matchup last year in a Waco Challenger, Brandon Nakashima did win that one. But we're talking right now how these two guys have played. Mackenzie McDonald made a great run in the Washington, D.C. tournament, made it all the way to the final before losing to Yannick Sinner. Really then did not play well in the Canadian Masters, but I'm looking at this DC tournament. After playing there, I think he had a little bit of a letdown, but Nakashima made it to the finals in the Truist Open, but I'm looking at this DC result here and just did not play well in that, lost in the round of 16. So I'm just going to ride Mackenzie McDonald and his finals run in Washington, D.C. I think he might be able to handle Nakashima, but these two are very, very close in skill level. But I think Mackenzie McDonald is playing good tennis right now. Like him getting those 2.5 games minus the 120. I think this will be a very, very tight three-set matchup. So look for Mackenzie McDonald plus the 2.5 minus the 120. All right, let's move on to NBA Summer League. And what do we got in the Summer League? We got the Detroit Pistons minus 1.5 versus the Orlando Magic. Suggs has already been sent home for the Orlando Magic due to an injury. I think the Magic are starting to wind down their sort of Summer League play, and I think the Detroit Pistons are going to try to maybe push to win this thing. So I really like this Detroit Pistons minus 1.5 in the Summer League. That's all we got on Summer League. And now we move to the last of the opening weekend of soccer. We're going to go Elche, minus 145, draw no bet versus Athletic Club Bilbao. Now, this might seem a little risky, but I think Elche at home will be able to handle this. You're protecting yourself with the draw no bet because I think there's a highly good chance of a draw here. The thing I like the best is Elche has beaten Athletic Club Bilbao 3 of the last 5 times they played. I like them at home here. I was a little disappointed in how Athletic Club Bilbao played last year. I think that will continue. We'll see how Elche plays. They are definitely going to be in a regulation battle all year long. We'll see if they can get off to a good start. So Elche, plus 145, draw no bet on that one. And then we move to Villarreal, minus 175 versus Granada. You know how I like Granada. I took them a lot last year. I love how they play, but they tend to be a little bit better at home. Villarreal has had their number of late, including the last time they played Villarreal, won 3-0. I really like Villarreal this year. They were a little disappointing in La Liga, but they did get that Europa League win. I look for them to sort of use that, bounce into maybe the top 4 of La Liga, maybe get into a real European slot and maybe qualify for the Champions League next year, not just by winning the Europa League. But I really like this Villarreal team. I think they've gotten a little bit better. I look for them to play really, really well, and I look for them to get off to a pretty good start here in La Liga. Villarreal, minus 175 on the 3-way versus Granada. All right, that's all we got for today on the Winning Daily. Be sure to check back tomorrow to see all our picks as the Cincinnati Masters continues. There'll be some WNBA action, there'll be some Summer League action, and we'll get right back into it. Be sure to check out all our preview videos as the football season starts back up. Those are going to start popping in more and more. Have yourself ready for the college and pro football seasons. We got all your action here on Greenlight Network. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Champ Chesterfield. That's our show, and we're out.